The woman secretly gave birth to a child for the man while hiding it from her family. Yet the man forced her to sign the divorce papers just for a female celebrity. 3 full years of devotion ended with him saying, "Take the money and get out of this city." In this heartless man's eyes, she was nothing but weak, easy to bully, and had nothing to her name. However, on the day she returned home, all the servants stood in a neat line. Her mother had rented 365 one-day boyfriends for her, each costing 100,000 a day, all just to heal her broken heart. Not only that, her mother even planned to buy every entertainment company in Jiangqing just to slap back at the haters. Finally, under her mother's persuasion, Xinxin returned to the city she had once been thrown out of by her ex-husband, only this time as a wealthy heiress. When a plane announced the arrival of Xinxin the Mountain Queen, she walked onto the stage, introduced herself, and raised the microphone, instantly setting the whole venue on fire. People noticed her outfit, her entire presence radiating money. Her aura looked exactly like the heiress of the Taifa group from a novel, gaining her countless fans on the spot. Even Chu Yue was no exception. The top-tier actress took the initiative to befriend her, saying that Xinxin Mountain Queen was too much of a tongue twister and that she wanted to call her simply Xinxin on the show, something countless fans could only dream of. But she simply smiled and shook her head. "No, but you may call me Miss Xia." Hearing that, Chu Yue was instantly stunned. The live chat exploded at once. How many dishes did she drink? What is this behavior? She looked pretty, but no one expected her to be this rude. People immediately turned against her. Yet Chu Yue thought this woman who dared reject her was so cool, and her fondness increased even more. Looking at the little fangirl in front of her, Xinxin knew she was her ex-husband's new lover, and she also knew that the scumbag was staring from the audience. So she deliberately flirted with Chu Yue right on stage. "You like me? Then how about kicking President Liu aside and choosing me instead?" The moment she said that, the audience fell silent. And the next second, the entire venue erupted in screams. In the audience, Liu Bugui's face had already darkened as he watched his ex-wife act so fearlessly. He never imagined that the woman he once drove away would one day flip him off on stage, and the camera caught the whole thing. At that moment, Chu Yue received a cue from the director, asking Xinxin to do them a favor and look at the big screen. Only then did Xinxin realize that she and Liu Bugui had been cut into the same shot, with real-time comments rolling across the screen. Suddenly, a bright light flashed. A very handsome man appeared on the screen. Even the men in the audience couldn't help shouting, "Husband!" Turned out His Highness had bribed the show team, but this carefully arranged dramatic entrance. Xinxin only thought, this pretentious vibe looks really familiar. Then he invited Xinxin to meet him on the show tomorrow. But the show wouldn't be filming tomorrow, and Xinxin no longer remembered who he was. The plane that had been happily taking off metaphorically now had His Highness crying in first class, upset enough that even his Western royal accent slipped out. It was the first time the minister had ever seen His Majesty like this. Seeing His Highness's emotions fall apart more and more, the minister abruptly stopped the video. At that moment, all the spotlights on stage focused on Xinxin, and Chu Yue asked the audience with a mic, "Aren't you all curious who that flashy, mysterious, handsome guy is?" After receiving a loud and clear response, she teased the audience again, saying they would now return to the contestant Q&A segment, where the show had collected many questions from netizens. Xinxin wasn't stingy with answers. The first question was, why is she so beautiful yet never showed her face in videos before? Someone in the audience shouted impulsively, "For hype, for fame." But before he finished, he nearly suffered the consequences. No one allowed even a single voice to interrupt Xinxin while she was speaking. Xinxin replied casually, "This face isn't rented, whether I record or not, and when I decide by mood." When asked why she came on the show, she didn't hesitate at all to slap the haters. Instantly, the live stream exploded with comments. "Case closed, she's a real rich woman." Meanwhile, His Highness was still crying non-stop on the plane, muttering repeatedly that he wouldn't get to see Xinxin tomorrow. After observing for a long while, the minister finally realized His Majesty was suffering from a severe lovesickness, and immediately ordered the plane to speed up, to make sure His Majesty would see his beloved tonight. Late at night, the recording finally ended and Xinxin was about to go home. Unexpectedly, her ex-husband yanked her over roughly. He pinned her hard against the wall. "Didn't I tell you to get out of Jiangqing?" Hearing that, Xinxin simply pretended they were strangers. But he spoke even more aggressively. Don't think coming back means you can ruin my wedding. Shinshin originally didn't want to bother with him, but as she walked away, he grabbed her again. I don't like you. Stop challenging my limits. Hearing this, Shinshin truly couldn't understand this self-important idiot. The lunatic kept muttering to himself, even giving her a contemptuous look while squeezing her hand painfully. Before, she might have endured it, but now she swung her $1,000,000 handbag straight at him. Lu Bugue dodged immediately and was about to slap his ex-wife. But a hand suddenly grabbed his wrist with force. Just as he looked up to see who it was, he got smacked in the face by the handbag again, and was sent flying several meters away. No surprise, this was a multimillion handbag. It even smashed blood out of that scumbag. When he opened his eyes, he found himself being looked down upon like an ant, pathetic and ridiculous. And the man asked domineeringly, "Who allowed you to bully my woman?" After saying that, his whole vibe suddenly shifted as he struck another pretentious pose. Shinshin was completely speechless at his shamelessness. But Lu Bugue demanded harshly, "Who are you?" When he questioned the man's identity, the reply came in the same domineering tone. "Who am I?" The man instead asked Shinshin to answer who he was. "He's my boyfriend, of course." Ridiculously, Lu Bugue couldn't accept it. After just one day apart, she already had a new boyfriend. When His Majesty heard Shinshin call him boyfriend, he stayed calm on the surface, but inside he was wagging his tail like a puppy. Facing her ex-husband's mockery, Shinshin replied coldly, "Since when did President Lu start managing other people's dating lives?" His Majesty's attendant immediately echoed, "Exactly. What, being rich makes you special?" But Lu Bugue was still lost in his own world, asking the man, "Are you planning to support your new lover in ruining my wedding?" Hearing such narcissistic nonsense, His Majesty would have punched him already if Shinshin hadn't held him back. Even though Shinshin clarified again that she came to Jiangqing only to join the show and didn't care about anyone's wedding, Lu Bugue still insisted that women always say the opposite of what they mean. Shinshin didn't want to waste words anymore. Holding the man's arm, she told Lu Bugue, "If you ever marry a dog, remember to let me know." Instantly, Lu Bugue shouted his ex-wife's full name in anger, "Xia Jixin." His Majesty's two attendants immediately suppressed the situation. Lu Bugue let out a cold laugh. "Very well." Then he dialed a number, loudly declaring that he wanted to see if there was anyone in Jiangqing he couldn't deal with. The moment he finished, a scolding voice came from behind. It turned out he had been blocking an auntie's path for too long. The so-called domineering Xiao got lectured like a child, told that instead of learning properly at his age, he only learned from gangster movies and didn't know any manners. Being lectured like a kid in front of his ex-wife and even being told, "As long as you change, it's fine." This was the first time in his life Lu Bugue had ever suffered such humiliation. Meanwhile, Shinshin was thanking the man for helping her. Watching the scumbag get humbled, she felt extremely satisfied. The man replied calmly, "No need to thank me," and Shinshin finally learned that he was the exclusive butler newly hired by her mother. It sounded unbelievable at first, but a butler who could act this dramatically truly matched her mother's style. As expected, an attendant handed over a phone call, and she learned from her mother that Axiu was a highly professional personal butler who would handle all aspects of her daily life from now on. But the shocking part was that her mother said she had paid extra, so if Shinshin ever felt lonely, Axiu could also help with that. The two attendants even gave an enthusiastic okay gesture. Shinshin was completely embarrassed knowing Axiu heard everything but still said, "Then I'll be counting on you." Early the next morning, a heated discussion about Shinshin the Mountain Queen appeared online. Netizens began digging into Xia Jixin, asking whether she was truly rich or faking it. Someone started by claiming the necklace on her neck was fake, and another person even asked the official customer service, receiving confirmation from the chatbot. Instantly, a trending topic exploded: wannabe rich girl Xia Jixin exposed. Fake outfit, fake necklace, real broke influencer. Lu Bugue looked at his masterpiece with satisfaction, proudly staring at the comments and muttering, "Xia Jixin, this is what happens when you don't listen. If you insist on provoking me, don't blame me for ruining your career." Saying that, he set down his phone. Suddenly, boom, the table was kicked into pieces. Lu Bugue jumped in shock. It was his grandfather who had returned. Without a word, Grandpa slapped him hard. This was his greeting after a whole year apart. After all, he forced Shinshin into divorce while Grandpa was abroad for medical treatment. And now he even hired trolls to smear her. Grandpa ordered him to delete everything immediately. Hearing the scolding, Lu Bugue looked aggrieved. Grandpa, that woman. She hit me. Grandpa instantly understood he deserved it. Then he learned from the servants that this unfilial grandson had even called a lawyer and the police, planning to sue his ex-wife for assault. Grandpa was furious. A year without exercise. Guess it's time to warm up again. With Grandpa backing them, the servants raised 2 middle fingers and finally said the word they'd held back for so long. Scumbag. Meanwhile, Shinshin sat in a luxury car worth over 100 million with her third brother, chatting about everything that had just happened. Third brother didn't understand. Were they really going to let the keyboard warriors smear her like that? Obviously not. Shinshin was now a professional face slapper, and the more they cursed her, the more famous she became. But Shinshin was puzzled. Why was the personal butler riding a helicopter while the actual owner rode in a car? Third brother replied, Mother hired him for you, so he's expensive. Him taking a helicopter. Makes sense. But his guilty expression gave him away instantly, and Shinshin realized the butler was definitely not that simple. Meanwhile, in the private luxury helicopter, His Majesty also saw the trending topic smearing Shinshin. He immediately ordered his men to trace the culprit through the internet cable. Shinshin's fans must not lose. Stabilize everything at once. Upon hearing this, the bodyguard quietly switched the machine gun in his hand to a smartphone. Following the clues, the pilot found that the leader of the hired trolls was Lu Bugue. So it was that ungrateful scumbag. His Majesty instantly fell into deep thought. Suddenly, Shinshin's call snapped him out of it. His expression changed dramatically in an instant. Shinshin told him to prepare for a press conference tomorrow, and not to do anything she hadn't ordered. Shinshin was already suspicious of the butler's identity, and after hanging up, she waited for tomorrow's show to unfold. Then she leaned against her handsome third brother and fell asleep. Meanwhile, the brand involved in the fake product accusation urgently held a press conference, publicly clarifying several key points. First, Ms. Xia is a supreme member of the company. Second, the necklace she wore was personally designed for her by the company's top designer, Alamy. There is only one in the world. And only with Ms. Xia's authorization was the company allowed to produce other versions. At this point, the spokesperson suddenly became emotional. They scolded the online haters for being ungrateful and malicious, and the designer was so furious that she quit on the spot. Hearing this, the journalists looked at each other in shock. The situation had escalated to the point where the world's 3 major, ice-cold CEOs appeared together to clarify the truth. If what Ms. Xia wore differed from the items sold publicly, that was because those were exclusive custom pieces made only for her. So her wearing fake products was impossible. They even live-streamed the clarification just to stand up for Shinshin the Mountain Queen. Netizens flooded the screen. Poverty really limits imagination. This slap in the face is brutal. Very soon, Shinshin's account gained 10 million followers in an instant. Netizens urged the Love Honey production team to retract their previous statement immediately. Meanwhile, the production team held an emergency meeting. They were the ones who terminated Shinshin at her lowest point. And now that public opinion had shifted, they wanted to send a message claiming they were sincerely inviting her back. While writing that so-called sincerity message, the blonde intern muttered, Xia Jixin is unbelievable, she's so rich, but her registered home address is Lingshan. Sounds like someone from the mountains. At that moment, the female scriptwriter noticed that Xia Jixin had posted on Weibo. The chief editor immediately asked what she posted. It turned out she had reposted all 3 brand apology statements, and when they clicked in, they found the content required paid access. The scriptwriter couldn't help complaining, who would be dumb enough to pay to read these? As soon as she said that, the scene shifted. His Majesty was staring intensely at the 2 thumbs on the screen, sensing something felt off. The bodyguard had returned with updates. The 3 major brands had issued apologies per His Majesty's orders, and the show had re-invited the future princess. As for Lu Bugue, his company had already had 37 contracts terminated, but his grandfather sought help from Miss Qing Yeling. Hearing that, His Majesty was displeased. But the displeasure vanished the next second when he saw Shinshin stretching on his phone. Seeing Shinshin's mother and Grandpa Lu in the equation, he decided to spare Lu Bugue for now. What mattered was knowing what Shinshin was doing. The bodyguard reported that she was filming a video. His Majesty immediately stood up and adjusted his outfit, intending to hire the world's top filming team for her. But the bodyguard poured a bucket of cold water on him. "Your Majesty, the future princess is currently filming that kind of video, with a handsome man. And right now Shinshin was taking photos with that handsome man." Jealousy, envy, and hatred all flashed in His Majesty's eyes. But all directed at the man, his mood swung from intense to sinking. He couldn't understand why she didn't ask him to film. Was he not better looking than that guy? The bodyguard tried comforting him, saying the future princess was probably shooting wedding photos. Hearing that, His Majesty felt a bit reassured. But then Shinshin's tone with the man turned flirtatious. In an instant, lightning flashed across His Majesty's eyes as he drew the sword above him, ready to personally castrate the man, but the bodyguard grabbed him tightly. Shinshin looked at the photos they had just taken but still felt unsatisfied. Suddenly, she heard movement above her. When she looked up, she saw her personal butler. She waved her hand and told Ashu to come down and take pictures with her. Instantly, His Majesty's foul mood disappeared, and he turned into an obedient little puppy. After the photo shoot, Shinshin asked her mother about Ashu's identity, but her mother still refused to tell the truth. Shinshin had no choice but to lie, saying third brother had already told her everything. Mother was shocked on the spot and silently cursed her son, who sneezed somewhere at the same moment. Only then did mother realize she had been tested. Right now, Shinshin only wanted to know who Ashu really was, fearing his intentions might hurt the Xia Corporation. Hearing this, mother hurriedly explained, "Ashu has no agenda. He simply likes you and wants to see you all the time." Seeing her daughter quietly giggle after hearing that, mother realized she had been tricked again. Since things had come this far, mother stopped beating around the bush. If Shinshin felt uncomfortable, they could send him away. Shinshin looked out the window, feeling conflicted, yet unable to find even a trace of rejection toward him. Finally, she told her mother to let him stay for now, then stood up and left. Mother let out a long breath of relief, glad she had managed to protect the future son-in-law's identity. Meanwhile, Lu Bugue was ordered by his grandfather to bring Shinshin and the child over for a visit, completely ignoring the fact that he was already engaged to someone else. Seeing Grandpa's firm attitude, Lu Bugue hesitated and whined, but had no choice except to obey. But after calling for a long time with no response, he assumed it was a signal issue or that his phone was broken. The bodyguard next to him reminded him, "There's another possibility. Miss Xia might have blocked you." That sentence instantly froze the atmosphere. His self-esteem took a direct critical hit. Meanwhile, His Majesty was also calling Shinshin. Even though the call didn't go through, his mood was the complete opposite. Lu Bugue threw his phone angrily and the bodyguard immediately started crying. That was his brand new phone, bought after giving up one seafood meal a day. Still fuming, Lu Bugue ordered them to investigate Xia Jixin and the man around her. The bodyguard whispered quietly, "The old master already knows all about that." Hearing this, Lu Bugue was even more confused. Grandpa was the one who had forced him to marry Xia Jixin back then. Grandpa couldn't help complaining, "Married 3 years and you only know your wife's name. What kind of husband is that? If you want to know about Shinshin, ask her yourself." After Grandpa left, Lu Bugue immediately instructed Tang Nan to hire the world's top hackers to investigate. Meanwhile, on the other side, a bodyguard respectfully handed over a phone, saying an unknown number had called earlier. Shinshin took the phone and asked, "Who is it? What do you need?" The bodyguard then repeated the caller's exact words, "That damn woman. Why did she block me?" Shinshin instantly showed disgust and resistance. So it was that dead man. Seeing Shinshin's cold expression, His Majesty almost drooled, but the bodyguard behind him quickly reminded him, and he immediately returned to his proper butler-like posture. Shinshin instructed them to bring the show's staff upstairs and then left. Meanwhile, Lu Bugue's attempt to hire a hacker was exposed. His Majesty had already expected he would pull something like this. At this moment, a bodyguard informed the young lady that Little Black had just sent a message. Lu Bugue tried to look into her information but was blocked by a mysterious client, and Little Black couldn't trace who it was. Shinshin knew that anyone capable of stopping Little Black had to be a major figure, but the upcoming filming was more important. The show staff were already stunned. The hall was luxurious from every corner and everything they saw was priceless. As Shinshin slowly descended the stairs accompanied by 2 servants, the assistant director immediately stepped forward and bowed as instructed. He brought a handwritten apology letter, though he didn't understand why the filming crew needed to come as well. Unexpectedly, Shinshin told him she only wished to withdraw from the shared apartment segment of the show because she truly couldn't tolerate the living environment there. After hearing that, the assistant director felt an overwhelming sense of flaunting wealth. Though such riches were beyond him, he was only an assistant director and had no authority anyway. After speaking, Shinshin simply snapped her fingers, and a servant immediately brought over a phone. The assistant director answered it, only to hear the voice of the company's supreme elder. The man informed him that he had just been promoted to chief director of Sweet Love 101. After the call ended, the newly appointed chief director secretly felt relieved, writing that apology letter truly had been the right decision. Although he had no idea who Xia Zhixin really was, she was clearly a powerful benefactor. The woman before him seemed almost divine. The following filming session was handled with utmost care. And when he noticed the assistant's shocked expression, he thought the guy was fooling around. But after scolding him, he learned the truth. It was because of the benefactor. The benefactor had just posted a new update, celebrating surpassing 10 million followers by giving out fan rewards. 10 lucky fans would receive cash prizes totaling 10 million. The two were stunned. This was beyond wealthy. Likes shot past 10,000 in an instant, and the comments were full of amusing messages. Someone shouted, "A million fell from the sky." Some prayed for good luck and others even cried out, "Mom." Meanwhile, His Majesty was staring at something on his screen, studying it seriously for quite a while, until he heard that Shinshin had posted a new update and learned she had gained more followers, which instantly made him happy. He immediately ordered his attendants to relay his decree. All civil and military officials and even the army must follow Shinshin's account. Also, several noble brands should be sent to offer her endorsement deals. After saying this, he instantly switched back into the role of her professional personal butler, warmly greeting Shinshin as she came downstairs. His perfectly maintained handsomeness finally proving useful. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lu Bugue saw the 10 million yuan giveaway post, and immediately called Shinshin to ask where she got so much money. But before he could finish, he heard only one word, "Get lost," and the call was cut off. Furious, Lu Bugue smashed yet another phone, and the owner of that phone was on the verge of tears behind him. Seeing how quickly the young master went through phones, the butler took out his little notebook, preparing to bulk order a batch as replacements, then prepared to send the young master back to the old residence. Though he seemed unwilling to see Xia Zhixin again, he still wanted to know when Sweet Love would air. The butler pulled out his notebook again, explaining that in 2 days all the guests would move into the shared apartment, with male and female areas separated. Hearing this, the butler still didn't understand why the young master looked so displeased. Yet the young master impatiently demanded that his contract as a male cast member be drafted today. They vaguely sensed a double standard. Soon, Sweet Love 101 officially premiered, with every seat filled and online popularity soaring. The first segment of the livestream required each contestant to perform a solo talent, followed by a joint elimination vote from both the live audience and online viewers. Then the advancing contestants would be graded by the mentors, finally entering training and moving into the shared apartment to await the next elimination round. With Chu Yue's announcement, the elimination round officially began. First on stage was a Cheongsam beauty fan. Right after introducing herself, she struck an enticing pose, and the audience instantly gave sky-high reactions. Even a monk would break vows on the spot. This was the hardest pit to pull off, and she was truly stunning. After her performance, the judges behind her gave a discreet score. And when she crossed paths with Shinshin on stage, her face was full of disdain. Then the judges picked up Shinshin's file and criticized her for leaving the specialty section blank, asking if she planned to rely on some crooked trick. Those remarks enraged His Majesty so much he ordered someone to assassinate the judge on the spot. But Chu Yue quickly stepped up to investigate, and it turned out exactly opposite of what the judges thought. Shinshin was performing Tai Chi, appearing for the first time on a talent show stage, and the pose she struck was breathtakingly beautiful, instantly overturning netizens' stereotype that Tai Chi was uncool. Yet even though netizens loved it, the judge immediately called a halt and mocked her, asking if she planned to break a stone on her chest tomorrow. He said the show was for choosing the next rising star, not a circus act. Hearing that, Shinshin shot back that it was a national-level intangible cultural heritage, enraging the judge so much that he snarled, "If you're on this stage today, then I'm not." Shinshin let out a cold laugh, and the backstage staff instantly received instructions, dragging the foul-mouthed judge away on the spot. The deputy director then grabbed the mic and explained that the show had made some mistakes and the mentor lineup would be changed. But His Majesty felt this was far from enough. That judge needed to suffer more. The attendants hadn't seen him this angry in a long time and felt deeply uneasy. As the show heated up, popularity kept soaring and netizens became even more curious about Xia Zhixin. Though haters were everywhere, accusing her of being rich and reckless and insisting the judge was right, saying a show like this should only have singing and dancing. But little did they know, singing and dancing were child's play for Xinxin. When Chu Yue asked what dance she wanted to perform, Xinxin happened to see the same Chongsam girl who had looked down on her earlier, and an idea instantly flashed through her mind. She would dance the same style as that contestant. Damn, and now to advance she twisted her fiery body, swaying her hips and throwing out scissor hand poses, making the audience break out in goosebumps. Even the girls couldn't help shouting, "Wife? Xia Zhixin is way too gorgeous. This is the real come." For a moment, even the top-tier idol Chu Yue was stunned in place. Snapped back by the staff's reminder, she finally returned to her senses. Hearing that it was time to announce the rating, Chu Yue immediately walked on stage and gave the performance an S grade, the highest score. As for the judges' scoring, the two judges each revealed a mid-range score, explaining that she wasn't wearing dance attire, though her Tai Chi performance had been excellent. After tallying the points, Chu Yue announced on the spot that Miss Xia had successfully advanced. Not far away, the Chongsam girl once again cast a disdainful look. Xinxin hated people who acted like they had something to say but wouldn't say it, so she spoke while walking. "If Miss Li has eyesight problems, I can recommend a private eye clinic. Next time I'll have my butler send you a card." Then she walked off. In the dressing room, Li Mei still hadn't swallowed her anger. Just thinking about Xia Zhixin disgusted her. "She's crazy for fame," she said. "Prepare to dance but perform Tai Chi instead." Her best friend couldn't help adding, "But she actually danced really well." Realizing she'd said the wrong thing, the friend quickly changed tone, saying Xia Zhixin's dancing was total garbage and that anyone calling it good was just an online beggar hoping to win a giveaway. Hearing that, Li Mei felt even more disgusted in her eyes. Xia Zhixin was only using some old man's money to fund the giveaway. And the reason she thought so was because she had snapped a photo before going on stage. So she was convinced Xia Zhixin was just a rich old man's plaything. Suddenly, the door was yanked open, and through the smoke 2 figures appeared vaguely. When the friend recognized President Lu, Li Mei was stunned that Lu's bodyguard handed over a thick stack of cash to buy the phone containing the photo of Xia Zhixin hugging the old man. Though reluctant, she couldn't afford to offend Lu, so she obediently complied. But not long after stepping outside, she saw Goddess Wei Wei holding Xia Zhixin's autograph, looking completely love-struck. Seeing their shocked expressions, Chu Yue asked curiously, "What's wrong?" They only replied that they were tired and wanted to go home early. After they left, she saw her fiancé Lu Buigui walking out of a room, not noticing her, so she called out to him. It turned out Lu Buigui had come to pick her up but had entered the wrong dressing room. After hearing the explanation, Chu Yue happily asked, "Do you know what I'm holding in my hand?" Hearing that, Lu Buigui thought she had gotten the lead role in the movie she wanted. But it was actually Xia Zhixin's autograph. Lu Buigui never imagined his new lover was a devoted fan of his ex-wife. Seeing his fiancée so delighted, Lu Buigui suddenly remembered the photo of Xia Zhixin hugging the old man, feeling instantly disgusted and cursing in his heart. Xia Zhixin, a pet of some old man like you, doesn't deserve fans. Just because his ex-wife hung up on him, this domineering Xiu hadn't slept for 3 whole days and nights. Seeing how depressed he looked, the butler bought every SIM card in Jiangqing and told him he would never need to worry about being hung up on or blocked again. Only then did he regain his energy and quickly switch to a new SIM card. And so, like an assembly line, 7 phones took turns in rotation. The butler stared at the pile of fallen SIM cards and couldn't help worrying about their stock. So he suggested a method. Once the call connects, go straight to the point and skip the questioning and lecturing. Maybe then Miss Xia wouldn't block him again. Hearing that, Lu Buigui finally managed to get through that he wanted to try it. But after saying only next time, the call was blocked again. The butler then suggested messaging her on the apps she frequently used. Meanwhile, in the luxurious villa, a servant was eagerly waiting for the next incoming call. Because Butler Ashu had said each number blocked meant a 500 yuan raise. Thanks to Lu Buigui, he had already earned 10 years' salary. Yet, instead of another easy 500 in 1 second, this time the incoming call took unusually long. And finally only a text message arrived. Reading the message, the servant was stunned and immediately handed the phone to butler Ashu. Ashu glanced at it and the phrase pleasing the old man felt especially harsh to the eyes. Learning that the young lady was doing skincare, Ashu instructed the servant to bring the phone to her. This was the kind of message only she could reply to herself. The bodyguard instantly noticed that His Majesty was angry. Soon, the servant found Miss Xia and explained the situation. For 3 straight hours she had been blocking harassment calls, and the private messages he sent afterward were truly unbearable. Hearing this, Xia Zhixin didn't think much of it. After choosing a dress, she finally took the phone and read the message. Then replied, "My grandfather lived to be 120, do you know why?" Lu Bugue instantly replied, "Why?" Xia Zhixin answered, "Because he minded his own business." She then reminded President Lu that ex-wife means they have no connection whatsoever, and told him not to like her, or she would have trouble if her ex-husband kept pestering her. After replying, Xia Zhixin remembered that today the sponsorship for the Honeylove apartment would be announced, and she wondered what new mess might happen, while Lu Bugue kept running into bad luck. Thinking of this, she ordered the servant to block him. Meanwhile, Lu Bugue was preparing to reply, convinced he had seen through her playing hard to get, thinking her message was bait for him to mock her back. But the moment he hit send, he froze. 8 large characters appeared, "You have been blocked by the other party." Meanwhile, Chu Yue was explaining to contestants that they would live together in the Honeylove apartment with a 24-hour live stream, except for the bathing area. But Xinshin Mountain King had special privileges. Everyone else would stay in the apartment while she would stay at home. The contestants expressed dissatisfaction, hoping the production team would treat everyone equally. At the same time, the live stream chat was full of complaints. Why could she refuse to stay there? And the Honeylove apartment was renovated by the top decorator in Jiangqing. Seeing public opinion turning negative, the staff hurried to clap the slate. At that moment, a pair of long, slender legs stepped into the frame. She said, "I can't live there unless my requirements are met." As soon as she finished, the maid brought out Miss Ya's full list of demands. The contestants were stunned. This was way too much. The list covered everything from sofas and TVs down to toothpaste and towels, and even stated that there must not be a single strand of hair on the bathroom floor. Miss Xia must also get up at exactly 6 a.m. But the alarm volume cannot exceed 40 decibels, and the floor beside the bed must be covered with a carpet of medium firmness. To avoid discomfort, the water temperature for face washing must stay between 36.8 and 37.1 degrees Celsius. Even a 0.1 degrees Celsius deviation is unacceptable. Hearing all this, the contestants surrendered instantly. As a gesture of appreciation for the show's flexibility, Xinshin also agreed to allow live streaming at her house. A video had already been recorded days earlier. The maid quickly gave an okay gesture. The video was played and viewers were shocked. This wasn't a house, it was a full-blown estate. Some people can't even afford 1 square meter of a bathroom, yet she lives in a place like this. Envy and curiosity instantly surged among the audience. But Li Mei remained convinced. Exijishin only looked untouchable because of the photo with her sponsor, the old man. She had already uploaded it to her alt account and was just waiting for the right moment to drag her from the clouds to the mud. At that moment, Chu Yue had only one thought. She would work 10 years if that's what it took to live in a house like that. Meanwhile, Lu Bugue's cousin was clinging to his friend's arm, complaining, "I just wanted to talk to Xinshin. Why did she block me?" Seeing him lovesick, a woman with literally one hair on her head hurried over. "Sweetheart, big sister can comfort you too." But he shot back, "Who even are you?" sending her away instantly. Lu Bugue picked up his phone and asked his cousin where he got Xia Zhixin's number. Turns out he spent 50,000 buying it from a fan group. Lu Bugue said flatly, "They're all fake, and Xia Zhixin already has a child." But the cousin refused to listen. He said he would wait for her divorce and he'd even take the child's surname. His friend asked, "And if she doesn't get divorced?" The cousin declared, "Then I'll steal her away with good technique no wall can't be dug through." That slogan made his friend burst into laughter, saying that right in front of his own cousin. Turns out Lu Bugue had been hiding the truth, so his cousin never knew Xia Zhixin was his ex-wife. Worse yet, Lu Bugue even told his friend with a straight face that his ex-wife still loved him, so he didn't want to hurt his cousin Sinian. But his friend wasn't stupid. Seeing Lu Bugue's reaction when Sinian shouted about waiting for Xinshin to divorce and taking the child's surname, He knew this man was delusional. Sinian had even mentioned that Xia Zhixin made a fan group where anyone with good looks and background could line up for a meal with her. Yet despite that, Lu Bugue still believed it was a trick to provoke him. Hearing him stay so self-absorbed, the friend just walked off with a smile. Only after that did Lu Bugue drop the act, staring unhappily at the fan group he secretly joined. What lineup numbers? How come I've never seen any? A moment later he asked his cousin to pull him into the fan group. But Ashu happened to be the group admin, originally thinking it was just another loyal fan joining. The moment he opened the applicant's profile, saw the male gender and a marriage certificate photo, he instantly recognized Lu Bugue and blocked him without hesitation. Meanwhile, Xinshin had just received a call from the director, telling her rumors were spreading that she was the pre-selected champion of Honey Love. Things were getting messy. Not wanting to make things harder for the director, Xinshin agreed to participate in the training shoot, but she would only stay in the Honey Love apartment for 8 hours a day. Hearing this change, Ashu was displeased. Didn't this mean they would run into Lu Bugue again? But he didn't say that aloud. He only told Xinshin that if she was going to film at the training apartment, she must bring the servants he arranged. Otherwise he was afraid she wouldn't feel comfortable. Xinshin heard this and thought of the even worse places she lived during her 3 years as Lu Bugue's wife. Then curiosity struck her. Didn't you say your Chinese wasn't good? Ashu looked embarrassed and forced out, I know can listening. The sentence was completely wrong, but everyone knew Ashu had been studying Chinese late into the night just to communicate with her. Seeing how devoted he was, Xinshin asked if he wanted to go with her for filming, but she said it too fast and he didn't understand. A servant quickly translated it using the Western court accent. Finally, Xinshin told him to prepare. They would set out tomorrow. Meanwhile, after being denied entry into the fan group again, Lu Bugue shifted his attention to the servants. When they heard he wanted to borrow an account once more, they looked as if they were ready to quit on the spot. A luxury car worth tens of millions pulled up in front of the brand store, and bodyguards stepped out in a perfectly aligned formation. The scene instantly drew countless eyes from the crowd. Isn't that the male guest from Honey Love? Why is he with Xinshin? But Li Mei scoffed to her friend. He's probably a kept toy paid for by that old man. Chu Qing even agreed. Since she's being kept by an old man anyway, what can't she do? They saw Xinshin enter the store and wanted to follow to take a look. But as soon as they approached the entrance, 2 staff members blocked their way. Furious, Li Mei snapped, "Power tripping much? You're running a business. Why aren't customers allowed in?" The staff behaved as though they had smelled something foul in the air, refusing to bother with a response. When the manager came over, Li Mei thought the staff would get scolded. But instead the manager simply stated, "Today the store is exclusively serving Miss Xia." Hearing that, her friend suddenly remembered how the CEO of Manhwa personally came out to apologize to Xinshin before, and she began doubting the identity of this so-called old man. Right at that moment, Lu Bugue arrived with Chu Yue. Li Mei rushed over to complain, "Manhwa is putting on airs today. They won't even do proper business." She wanted to see whether the staff would dare block President Lu and Goddess Weiwei. Though the manager looked momentarily troubled, the result was still the same. And Lu Bugue realized that the so-called VIP was actually his ex-wife. Chu Yue even commented beside him, saying they looked quite a good match. His mindset collapsed instantly. "So I'm not a VIP." Yet he was still blocked outside. Just then Xinshin walked over and casually said, "You're blocking our distinguished President Lu from spending money." Unexpectedly, the manager immediately switched attitudes and eagerly presented the newest bags that arrived yesterday. Lu Bugue then grabbed Chu Yue's hand, hoping Xinshin would get jealous seeing him being attentive to another woman. But instead, it only ruined his mood. Xinshin didn't care at all and was happily chatting with another man. And he didn't know what was happening to himself. He suddenly felt his ex-wife was stunning, her figure matching perfectly with the goddess he dreamed of. Meanwhile, Chu Yue turned into a full-on fangirl, shouting how gorgeous Xinshin looked. Watching Ashu instruct the staff to pack all the outfits Xinshin had tried on, Chu Yue immediately picked a dress she thought was pretty and asked Xinshin to try it. Even the staff were shocked. The goddess Weiwei was acting like a sales clerk. Lu Bugue never imagined his new fiancée would be this obsessed with his ex-wife. But the dress Chu Yue picked was suddenly fancied by Li Mei, who insisted on buying that very one. In her eyes, a rich woman like Miss Xia wouldn't mind having the same outfit and could simply buy another piece. But before she could enjoy her moment, she was instantly enraged. Xinxin not only ordered the manager to remove both outfits from the shelves, but also mocked the designer's broken sense of aesthetics. Li Mei couldn't understand why she was being targeted. Believing she did nothing wrong, she snapped back. Xia Zhixin, who do you think you are? How dare you humiliate customers in a Wanka store? Her outburst conveniently solved Lu Bugui's curiosity. He also wanted to know what gave Xinxin the right to be this domineering. But before Xinxin could answer, the manager stepped forward and announced that the items Li Mei purchased would be taken back. Li Mei yelled, "Customers are gods. Is this how you treat your gods?" Ashu calmly replied, "Someone online smeared our Miss Xinxin for wearing fake luxury goods. You two also used alternate accounts to join the smear. Our Miss choosing not to pursue the matter is already kindness." Chu Yue finally understood how contestants privately ganged up on rivals. Lu Bugui meanwhile cursed inwardly. How dare they smear Xia Zhixin? Do they not know whose ex-wife she is? While he was busy being delusional, Xinxin showed everyone what real wealth looked like. She told the staff to pack everything. Anything Miss Chu likes will be delivered to her home. The rest I'll have someone pick up later. Ashu then pulled out a black card, one with no spending limit. As the richest man in Jiangqing, Lu Bugui couldn't tolerate such humiliation. Seeing the pretty boy beside his ex-wife pay with a limitless black card almost made him explode. He put on an act. Wei, anything you like, I can afford it." Then he told the clerk seriously, "Everything Miss Chu looked at or tried on, send it all to the Lu residence." But his cool act lasted only 3 seconds. The clerk replied awkwardly, "President Lu, those items were already claimed by Miss Xia." Seeing his attempt at acting cool fail miserably, Lu Bugui was so frustrated he didn't even know what to say. Then Xinxin walked up to Chu Yue, gently took her hand, making the girl, who had always treated Xinxin as her idol, instantly blush. Xinxin said, "Consider these a gift for our new friendship, okay?" Chu Yue stared wide-eyed, unable to believe her idol was actually becoming her friend. Once she recovered, she turned to Lu Bugui and said, "Xinxin is giving me a gift. Can you stop sulking? Don't be mad." The comment made Lu Bugui take a critical internal hit he had no way to counter. In his mind, he kept convincing himself, "She must be doing this because she saw me with my fiancé. She's obviously trying to make me jealous, definitely." The next day, the hit variety show Love Honey 101 opened its live stream for the cast moving into the shared dorm. Before host Chu Yue could finish the introduction, Li Mei already muttered in a passive-aggressive tone, "Why is Xia Zhixin late again? Didn't she promise to cooperate with the live stream? What diva behavior is this?" The comment instantly triggered waves of negative chat messages, until Li Mei suddenly froze and whispered, "Okay, that's insane." Xinxin stepped out of a luxury car in a haute couture gown, her black sunglasses radiating pure dominance. Behind her were countless attendants, including several handsome escorts. She waved gracefully to the cast. "Sorry to keep everyone waiting." Meanwhile, Li Mei had already retreated to her room to start a live stream, milking the trending topic. She never expected the room assignment draw to pair her with Xinxin. Even though she had 10,000 alpacas rampaging in her heart, she still forced a smile for the camera and offered a set of makeup products she was currently promoting as a gift. At this moment, Li Mei's heart was bleeding. Even if it was a free sample from the brand, each box cost over 50,000. No wonder she could barely let go. Unexpectedly, Xia Zhixin didn't even spare it a glance and simply said, "Thanks, but I don't need it. I never use those off-brand products." A female guest, seeing her best friend being humiliated, pointed at Xia Zhixin and snapped, "Then what divine skincare do you use? Hurry up and show us mortals. Let us witness the miracle." Hearing the rude tone, Butler Wang Zai immediately stepped forward trying to stop her. Xia Zhixin gently patted her shoulder. "Ashu, it's fine." Then she signaled the maid to bring her own cosmetics. A golden, dazzling case was placed before everyone. That makeup pouch alone was worth over 1 million, and the products inside were custom-made by her family's private research institute. A nearby actress mocked, "Your own research institute? What is it, a backyard workshop? Even if you gave me this stuff for free, I'd be scared it'd ruin my face." Seeing such ignorance, Xia Zhixin couldn't be bothered to respond, while the butler nearly burst out laughing. "You're dreaming if you think you're worthy. Something this expensive, why would it ever be given to you?" The actress exploded. "Stop pretending. You're so rich, yet you came on this show just to perform Tai Chi? Too bad the Tai Chi ambassador didn't choose you. They chose Li Mei instead. Even Tai Chi heir Gu Huayu visited her personally. The ever-scheming Li Mei hurried over, pretending to mediate. Qing, calm down. I'm sure there's a reason Miss Xia wasn't invited. Xia Jixin thought that showing her cosmetics would end the conflict, but when they kept pushing, she said calmly, even little Huayu has to greet me properly when he sees me. Oh please. Does Gu Huayu even know you? Go on, call him over to prove it. Butler Wang Zai was grinding his teeth that if Xinxin hadn't told him not to act on his own, he would have already. Just then a servant handed Xia Jixin her phone. Miss, we've connected you to Gu Huayu. Xia Jixin said a few casual words, then sat down with her coffee. Wait till he'll be here in half an hour. No one expected her to brag so boldly. Li Mei waited for the embarrassment. Someone even major events can't invite and you think one phone call will bring him? Ridiculous. Trying to undermine Xia Jixin, Li Mei added sweetly, if you want, I can talk to Master Huayu and get you into the audition. What do you think? For minutes have passed already. As each second ticked by, the actress grew impatient. Miss Xia, you're about to embarrass yourself. One more minute. What's the rush? The knock on the door instantly silenced the whole room. Excuse me, may I come in? Gu Huayu walked in, leaving everyone utterly stunned. Li Mei hurried forward with her application form, smiling. These are my materials for the spokesperson selection. I didn't expect Master Gu to come in person. Gu Huayu glanced at the unfamiliar woman. I'm not here for that. Just submit it when you join the selection. Then he walked straight towards Xia Jixin. Butler Wang stepped in front of them immediately. Xia Jixin gently moved him aside and greeted, reporting in little Huayu. Gu Huayu stepped forward and answered respectfully, little Shu. Xia Jixin even reached out to pat his hair. Good boy. Everyone's jaw dropped again. Li Mei and the actress felt the sting on their faces. Wang Zai's expression turned pitch black. Xinxin actually called him little Huayu? Noted. Enemy confirmed. Earlier, during Xia Jixin's Taiji performance, Li Mei flaunted her Taiji spokesperson status on livestream and purposely belittled her. Yet one phone call from Xia Jixin brought the Taiji successor Gu Huayu here, who even called her little Shu on the spot. Xia Jixin's identity instantly became the center of the livestream discussion, without her needing to say a word. As she was about to leave, Xia Jixin turned around. Who's been chosen as the Taiji spokesperson? Gu Huayu quickly replied, still undecided. Little Shu, does that mean you're agreeing to take the role? Suddenly interested. I'll do it. Huayu lit up with joy. Shizhuan will definitely be thrilled. Xia Jixin thought, who cares whether he's thrilled? Off to the side, Chu Qing shouted, Master Gu, you clearly confirmed Li Mei as the spokesperson, why change it now? Gu Huayu replied calmly, the spokesperson is still in selection. She only passed the first audition. Who said it was already finalized? With that, Li Mei's fake persona collapsed instantly. Xia Jixin added lightly, looks like Miss Chu really got slapped in the face this time. Li Mei never expected things to turn out like this. She wished she could crawl into a hole. She burst into tears and ran out of the studio. Chu Qing turned back and snapped, humiliating Lili on live stream. Are you happy now? Xia Jixin sighed. Shouldn't you ask Miss Chu that? You were the one who kept pushing me to make the call. Struck speechless, Chu Qing lashed out and swung towards Xia Jixin. But the next second her slender arm was grabbed by two strong hands at once. Sandwiched between two angry handsome men, Chu Qing trembled. Xia Jixin told her, stop provoking me from now on. Even my dog Charlie says your level is ugly. Realizing she was being compared unfavorably to a dog. Unable to hit anyone and humiliated in public, Chu Qing also ran out crying. 3 women, 1 drama. Only the audience remained munching away on their snacks. The show's director had never faced something like this. He was completely numb. Across the room, Butler Wang was glaring daggers at Gu Huayu. His assistant whispered, Your Majesty, please calm down. Suddenly, a maid rushed in with a phone in hand. Miss. The person on the line says, if you want to see the child, pick up the call. That afternoon, right after finishing the show's recording, Xia Jixin received a call from her scumbag ex-husband. If you want to see the baby, meet me. She had believed the divorce meant no further entanglement, yet he was now using their newborn child as leverage. Rage shot through her instantly. Beside her, Butler Wang and Gu Huayu cursed under their breath. This hypocrite was rotten to the core. Holding back her fury, Xia Jixin's voice trembled. Lu Bugue, where are we meeting? Moments later, Wang and Gu escorted her to the agreed location. To avoid unnecessary trouble, she told them to wait outside. But the moment she opened the door, both men stepped inside anyway without hesitation. Lu Bugui's first words were a sneer. How long has it been since the divorce? And you already have 2 boy toys following you? Xia Jixin no longer bothered to be polite. Not as fast as you, Mr. Lu. Barely divorced and already engaged. Looks like we're evenly matched. Lu Bugui shoved his phone forward. Even if we're divorced, you are still my wife. Keep yourself clean. Don't come begging me for help when your reputation collapses. Xia Jixin froze. Weren't we meeting because you said I could see the baby? Lu Bugui stood up from his chair looking smug. This is the evidence I bought from Li Mei. I've destroyed every other copy. Only this one is left in my hands. Even now I'm thinking for your own good. Xia Jixin, aren't you touched? About to cry? The next second Xia Jixin slapped him so hard the sound echoed. His phone flew straight out of his hand and died midair. Instant KO. Lu Bugui held his cheek, whining, "Why did you hit me again?" Gritting her teeth, Xia Jixin snapped, "I must have been blind for those 3 years. Just one photo and you dared assume I was some old man's plaything?" She didn't bother arguing anymore. "Once Grandpa's health stabilizes, I'll take the baby back myself. And one more thing. If you want yourself and the Lu Corporation to stay intact, stop coming after me." Watching Xia Jixin turn to leave, Lu Bugui muttered, "You never told me anything about your past, only that you grew up in the mountains." Xia Jixin replied calmly, "You didn't want to listen in the beginning, so I stopped talking." Only now did Lu Bugui seem to realize how unfair he had been to his ex-wife. He tried to apologize, but the words stuck in his throat. That arrogant voice echoed inside him. "You're the CEO of the Lu Corporation. You can't lower your head and admit fault." Xia Jixin sighed helplessly. As she walked away, Lu Bugui tried to speak again, but Wang Zai's men stopped him right where he stood. On the way home, having decided to reclaim custody, Xia Jixin casually transferred 1 billion in alimony back to Lu Bugui's account, along with a message. "If you think the alimony was too much, just return it. I don't need the pocket change. If your brain's acting up, go buy something you like. Who knows, maybe you won't wake up tomorrow." Rage burst out of Lu Bugui as he punched the back of the front seat, startling the driver half to death. He kept up a tough front, yet deep down he selfishly hated the thought of any other man approaching his ex-wife. On the way home, Wang Zai noticed Xia Jixin's silence and stepped forward to comfort her. This instantly triggered Gu Huayu's jealousy in the front seat. He even wondered if he should become her butler instead. Suddenly, a notification popped up on the phone, and Gu Huayu quickly warned her. "Little Shishu, Mu Yan is suing you." Right after that, the show's director called, sobbing that Mu Yan had sent a legal notice, accusing both the program and Xia Jixin of defaming their brand. Xia Jixin told him not to panic, hung up, and even opened Mu Yan's official post, casually reposting it with a like. The director of Sweet Love saw how unfazed she was and nearly fainted in his office. "Great. After working so hard to secure so many sponsors, is the whole show going to die because of a lawsuit?" Li Mei, who always treated Xia Jixin as her enemy, slipped over and said, "Mu Yan's manager told me. As long as you show sincerity and apologize and have dinner with them tonight, they'll drop the lawsuit." The brainless director revived instantly. "Even if I have to kneel, I'll get Xia Jixin to that dinner." That night, Mu Yan's president Zhao, the director, and Li Mei waited in a private room for an entire hour. Zhao Shuai was already furious. Suddenly the door opened. Xia Jixin walked in with Ashu at her side. Zhao Shuai slammed the table, accusing her of having no sincerity to apologize. Yet his eyes were glued to her. "What a rare prize that if I can get her tonight, I'll brag about it for life." 5 minutes later, Zhao Shuai was already tied tightly to a chair. The director jumped up immediately. "I didn't see anything. Miss Xia, please. Do whatever you want." Li Mei threw out some harsh words while running away with the director. "Xia Jixin, you're dead. Offending President Zhao like this, he'll ruin you for sure." Ashu picked up the wine glass on the table. "What did you put in here?" Zhao Shuai was still cursing nonstop. Xia Jixin waved casually. "Slap him 100 times first." Outside the private room, Lu Bugui happened to overhear someone saying that Xia Jixin was inside with Zhao Shuai, the notorious pervert. From the gossiping women, he learned that Zhao Shuai's reputation was indeed filthy. Lu Bugui immediately ordered his men, "Find out where Xia Jixin is." Meanwhile, inside, Xia Jixin yawned out of boredom. Ashu leaned in gently. Miss, go home and rest. I'll watch things here. Suddenly, bang. A bodyguard kicked the door open. Lu Bugui rushed in shouting, Who the hell is Zhao Shuai? The bruised, tied-up Zhao Shuai trembled. I'm me. Lu Bugui and his bodyguards froze in embarrassment. Xia Jixin flipped her hair lightly. Breaking into someone's private room without knocking. So this is Lu President's idea of manners? Lu Bugui's face twisted with anger. Xia Jixin, if you dare cheat on me, you're done for. Ashu immediately stepped in front of Xia Jixin. Mr. Lu, you're already divorced from her. Lu Bugui widened his eyes. Don't think that just because she once called you her boyfriend, you get to talk to me like this. You're nothing but a shield. She pulled out casually. Exen rested a hand on Ashu's shoulder. Funny, President Lu. You ignore your current wife but chase your ex like a madman. Ashu is 10,000 times better than you. What makes you think everything I do is to get your attention? Lu Bugui was instantly speechless. Ashu gently wrapped his arm around Xian's shoulders. Yelling at a lady, is that Mr. Lu's idea of manners? Even the bodyguards behind him cast looks of disdain. One bodyguard leaned in and whispered, President Lu, you came because you were worried about Miss Xia. Why can't you just say it properly? But seeing the two show affection in front of him, Lu Bugui gritted his teeth in rage. He could only leave, helpless and frustrated. Watching him walk away, Ashu couldn't help feeling worried, afraid that one day Exen might return to Lu Bugui. Xia Jixin stretched lazily. Let's go home. Only the tied-up old pervert Zhao Shuai was left in the room muttering threats. Just wait till I get out, you two are dead. After everyone left, Zhao Shuai swore to himself that he would make Xia Jixin pay a heavy price. The next day, President Zhao of Mayan started a live stream with Li Mei at his side. With her fake sweet tone, Li Mei said, Mayan didn't even want to pursue this. A simple apology from Xia Jixin would have settled everything. But Miss Xia brought people to beat up President Zhao. Comments flooded in. She's too arrogant. Mayan should sue her until she's bankrupt. Beating someone like that, shouldn't she take responsibility? Seeing the chat support him, Zhao Shuai continued. She booked a private room last night and didn't even pay. I ended up covering 180,000 yuan. This shows she has zero sincerity. She's seriously offended our company. Mayan will not settle, will pursue this to the end. His emotions grew more dramatic as he spoke. Li Mei and his assistant quickly tried to calm him. Don't get worked up, it'll affect your recovery. Meanwhile, Xia Jixin also started her live stream. Not everyone's here yet. About President Zhao from Mayan, let me clarify. First, I didn't hit him. I didn't lay a finger on him. Second, Mayan is a knockoff brand. Honestly, why would I apologize? As for the bill, I just told someone to book the room. I never said I'd be the one paying. Suddenly, several people walked through the door. Xia Jixin turned to the live stream with a mysterious smile. The people I was waiting for have arrived. This is Academician Zhang from Jiangqing University's Department of Chemistry. This is Vice Dean Li. And this is Academician Lu, one of the country's top dermatology experts. Today's session is to analyze the ingredients in Mayan's products, so everyone can understand at the core why it's just a knockoff brand. Meanwhile, in President Zhao's live stream on Mayan's channel, comments were flying. Why isn't Mayan bankrupt yet? Cheap knockoff brand. Shady company. Bro, let's rush their flagship store now. The two grew more confused as they watched when suddenly a system alert popped up. Due to repeated reports, the live stream had violated platform rules and would be suspended for 3 days. Both of them were stunned, clueless about what had happened. Furious, President Zhao took it all out on Li Mei, slapping her hard. Useless. You can't even run a live stream better than Xia Jixin. Li Mei looked wronged. Just half an hour ago the entire chat was flaming Xia Jixin. How did public opinion flip so fast? She gritted her teeth. Do they even know what Xia Jixin is really like? She clearly hit President Zhao but refuses to admit it. A complete liar. Xia Jixin, just you wait. To get revenge, Li Mei planned to expose the truth, deny that Zhao Shuai was beaten, and release the secret footage to ruin Xia Jixin's reputation. It turned out Li Mei had planted a hidden camera in the private room beforehand. After the live stream, she rushed back to the hotel, but no matter how she searched, the camera was gone. Just then, someone knocked. Ashu entered with security guards and said coldly, Miss Li, bad deeds bring consequences. And you and President Zhao seem quite close. Is he your boyfriend? Li Mei saw the hidden camera in Yan Xiu's hand and broke into a cold sweat, stepping back in panic. She immediately started apologizing, promising she would never dare target Miss Xia again. Yan Xiu warned coldly, "Stay away from Xia Zhixin. Don't cause trouble again, or deal with the consequences." And Chu Qing, she keeps picking on XN during live streams. Li Mei shook her head desperately. I'm not close to her. What she says has nothing to do with me." As he turned to leave, Yan Xiu added slowly, "As long as you don't act stupid, I won't release the footage." Meanwhile, President Zhao from Mayan restarted his live stream, crying pitifully as he accused XN of beating him to win sympathy. Suddenly his phone rang. Zhao Shuai instantly got excited. It was the chairman of Mayan who had rushed back from overseas to handle the incident personally. He secretly rejoiced. "Xia Zhixin is done this time. With the chairman involved, she'll have to apologize to me." He proudly told the viewers, "President Mu is already on the way that he'll take over this live stream soon. Just wait and see." Right then the door opened. The young and capable President Mu entered with his assistant. Zhao Shuai hurried to greet him with a bow, but President Mu didn't even glance at him. Instead he walked straight to the camera, bent down and publicly apologized to Xia Zhixin, then announced that to show sincerity, Zhao Shuai was officially fired and would never be rehired. Zhao Shuai stood frozen as if struck by lightning, unable to believe what he'd just heard. That woman had casually invested 2 billion to help Mu Yanhua start his brand, only to be betrayed by his own brand manager. The chairman of Mayan had no choice but to apologize in person. And yet this man actually took advantage of the situation. While Ashu wasn't around, he secretly invited XN out for dinner. In the luxury restaurant, a maid was carefully preparing a napkin for XN. Suddenly, the man reached out, snatching the napkin from her hands. "Ancestor, let me do it," he said to XN. When the maid lifted a wineglass to pour XN some red wine, he grabbed that too, leaving the maid awkward and motionless at the side. Watching him fuss over her like this, XN finally shouted, "Mu Yanhua." Her tone made the man freeze. "Ancestor, please speak. I invested 2 billion in you because I thought you had talent. And what did you do? You created Mayan. Truly embarrassing." The man bowed his head in shame, apologizing immediately. Xia Zhixin added mercilessly, "That sentence, you should say it to yourself." Mu Yanhua was instantly speechless. Feeling tired, Xia Zhixin put down her utensils, yawned and asked, "Where's Ashu?" Footsteps sounded outside. Ashu entered in a sharp suit, looking powerful and refined, and said politely, "Miss, I just finished ordering the new gown you'll need for next week, that's why I'm late." Mu Yanhua quickly stood up and asked Xia Zhixin who Ashu was. XN introduced the two of them to each other. The man had just reached out his hand to greet Ashu, but Ashu gently supported XN with both hands and replied calmly, "Mr. Mu, hello, but it's not convenient right now." Mu Yanhua froze in embarrassment. XN yawned, clearly tired, and Ashu looked at her tenderly. "Miss, please rest first." Before leaving, XN advised Mu Yanhua to focus on developing real products instead of wasting money on marketing tricks. That night, Li Mei rushed back to the Honey Love apartment in a panic. Chu Qing suddenly appeared in the hallway, startling her. Chu Qing told her that the Mayan chairman had personally apologized to Xia Zhixin, and Zhao Shuai had issued a statement saying XN hadn't hit him. "Didn't you see Zhao Shuai get hit that day? Go live and testify for him." But Li Mei's mind was full of Ashu's warning. If she messed with Xia Zhixin again, the video of her and Zhao Shuai being intimate would be exposed. She shoved Chu Qing away angrily. "You already made me lose the Tai Chi ambassador role. Do you want to ruin me again? Stop bothering me. I have to prepare for the next round." She stormed off. Watching her leave, Chu Qing muttered bitterly, "At first I never targeted XN it was you who dragged me into it. Now I'm enemies with her and you say I harmed you. Fine, if you're cutting ties I won't listen to you anymore." She then pulled out her phone and sent out the photo Li Mei had secretly taken of XN hugging the old man. XN, just wait. Meanwhile, in the Honey Love apartment, the host announced that this week's livestream had ended. It would pause for one day and return with the exciting cohabitation segment. The contestants all sighed with relief, saying they were exhausted and could finally rest. XN, however, was enjoying her coffee leisurely while Ashu attended to her carefully. Suddenly, a huge bouquet of roses appeared in front of her. Some rich young fool leaned forward, shouting flirtatiously, XNXN wifey. Ashu snapped his fingers and the bodyguards immediately drove the man out. Only then did they realize it was her scumbag ex-husband's cousin, Hua Xiao. Ashu took the flowers and handed them to XNXN himself, speaking tenderly, "Miss, you've worked hard this week." Just as XNXN was about to accept the bouquet, Chu Qing rushed over angrily and snatched it away. "Miss Xia, you're really attractive. Even young Master Hua is obsessed with you." XNXN smiled. "You get jealous over rotten admirers too?" Chu Qing pulled out the photo of XNXN hugging the old man. "I thought you only fancied those old men. Young Master Hua is at least rich and decent and you still call him rotten?" With a mocking smirk, she added, "Tell me, Miss Xia, how many sugar daddies do you actually have?" At that moment, the account Dragon King Yuji also posted intimate photos of XNXN with several elderly men. The pictures instantly shot up the trending charts, and netizens waited eagerly to watch XNXIN's downfall. Chu Qing stared at the photos, completely stunned. She wondered how many sponsors XNXN had, with such a grand lifestyle every day. Ashu glared sharply at Li Mei, who panicked and waved her hands. "It really wasn't me." XNXN, however, stayed calm and even sighed. "Didn't expect the candid shots to make me look this gorgeous. Calling myself the modern Su Daji isn't too much, right?" Ashu chuckled softly. "Miss, you're being modest." Afraid Chu Qing would drag her down, Li Mei rushed to stop her from talking. The director, fearing the entire show might collapse, also hurried forward to intervene. But Chu Qing already held a grudge against XNXN and ignored him, shouting, "Trying to come up with excuses now?" Unexpectedly, XNXN picked up her phone calmly. "I'll explain right now." She edited the photos of herself with the old men, tagged them directly and wrote, "Stop sleeping, get up and start working." Netizens watching the drama were shocked. Has XNXN gone crazy? She's exposing her sponsors herself? Chu Qing scoffed. "Do you really think we're that easy to fool? Those masters wouldn't even look your way." The green tea girl, Li Mei, stepped forward and grabbed her, telling her to stop talking and keep things peaceful between contestants. But Chu Qing didn't even want to look at her. Xinshin slowly stood up and Ash gently draped a coat over her shoulders. This time Xinshin chose not to tolerate it anymore and said bluntly, "You're just as impulsive as last time. Looks like the lesson from being slapped in the face didn't stick." Chu Qing was stunned, while Li Mei immediately stepped back a few steps, thinking she can die if she wants, just don't drag me down with her. No one expected the face-slapping moment to come so quickly. Various masters online responded one after another and tagged Xinshin's account Mountain King. Seeing this, Chu Qing grew furious, grinding her teeth, unable to understand why someone always stepped in to save Xinshin at critical moments. Xinshin explained with disdain, "These are my teachers, the kind who watched me grow up." Chu Qing refused to believe it, thinking Xinshin was just a hype-driven influencer pretending to be rich. How could she possibly be worth over 100 million on her own? Xinshin casually dropped a bomb. "I'm indeed not relying on myself, that I really do have a sponsor." Ash was so shocked he fainted on the spot. Xinshin was speechless, he actually believed it. She quickly clarified, "My biological dad is the sponsor, he's loaded." Only then did Ash breathe a sigh of relief. Chu Qing felt extremely embarrassed, thinking Xinshin was playing her, and the people around them also started doubting the situation. At that moment, two burly men walked in asking for Chu Qing, and Chu Qing raised her hand, signaling that she was the one. But she never expected the two men to be police officers, charging her with illegally filming and distributing obscene videos, fabricating rumors and damaging Xinshin's reputation. The officers stated that her actions had caused serious negative impact online and in society, and she would be taken into custody. Xinshin was stunned by the scene, frozen, unsure what to say. Once she reacted, Xinshin looked at Ash and said, "Well done. Thank you." Hearing that, Ash felt so touched he practically wagged like a puppy. Meanwhile, the show's director cried on the side, saying the program had just started getting traction and now a contestant was being arrested. Before leaving, Xinshin reassured him she could earn back the lost traffic, so he didn't need to worry. The director nodded gratefully and reminded Xinshin to stay safe on the road. After getting into the car, Xinshin noticed Ash talking to a stranger. It turned out the man was Huasinian's father, who came specifically to tell Ash that Huasinian had been sent to Africa for at least half a year and would not bother Miss Xia again. Ash replied firmly, "You did well. Tell him he can focus on bidding for the land in the North District next week." Old Hua was delighted to hear this and decided to keep Huasinian in Africa for another 2 years just to be safe. Shinshin watched Ash chatting happily with the stranger, her face filled with confusion. When Ash came over, she immediately asked, "Aren't you my personal butler? Why are you helping my third brother negotiate business?" Ash could only come up with a random excuse, saying he was delivering something for third young master. "But I saw you just now. You were empty-handed." The bodyguard immediately offered helpful suggestions, saying things like, "I delivered a lighter, a kiss from third young master, and a bundle of longing." Ash was speechless. Ash could only pretend he didn't understand. He always used the same excuse every time, and Shinshin had already seen through his tricks. She could only smile at him. After finishing the Sweet Love apartment show, Shinshin and Ash were on their way back to the estate when a car suddenly honked wildly and chased them. It turned out to be scumbag Lu Buguet. He accused Shinshin of being unfaithful, saying she had never smiled so brightly around him and always had a cold face for him. But then he remembered, when they were together she smiled at him like this all the time. Ash and Shinshin turned their heads, saw Lu Buguet, and instantly felt their mood drop. Shinshin chose to ignore him, and Ash ordered the bodyguard to speed up and lose the guy. But Lu Buguet shouted, "Shinshin, Grandpa is in the hospital, he wants to see you." After a chaotic chase, both cars arrived at the hospital at the same time. Anan collapsed on the hood, catching his breath, while Ash gently supported Shinshin inside. Inside the hospital room, the old man was happily playing on his phone. Shinshin walked in holding flowers. Grandpa immediately sat upright and greeted her warmly. "Shinshin, you came." Ash instantly sensed something was off. Wasn't he supposed to be sick? Grandpa replied, "I wanted to see Shinshin, so my illness relapsed." He then scolded Lu Buguet, saying even meeting Shinshin once was unbelievably difficult. Holding the bouquet, Grandpa looked over at Ash. He grabbed Shinshin's hand, eyes sparkling. "Is this your new boyfriend?" The two men stared at each other with pure hostility, as though they wanted to tear each other apart. Shinshin whispered to Grandpa, "How does he look?" Grandpa answered, "A perfect match. And most importantly, you look much better than before. Seems like after divorcing a bog, your life improved a lot. Lu Buguet has no conscience. Such a good wife and he didn't treasure you, truly shameful." Ash added softly, "Opportunities never belong to those who don't cherish them." Grandpa strongly agreed. He took both their hands and said, "You must treat Shinshin well, don't be blind like Lu Buguet. The day he regrets it, I'll set off fireworks to celebrate." Lu Buguet didn't expect his own grandfather to say that. Grandpa snapped back, "If you weren't my grandson, you wouldn't even have the chance to know Shinshin. You can't even handle people spreading rumors about her. How can you protect her?" The Sweet Love variety show resumed its live broadcast. The host announced that contestants and male guests would make mutual selections to form CPs. Every male guest on stage had stunning looks and strong builds, sending the female audience into loud screams. King Ash stood beside the domineering Seo scumbag Lu Buguet. Seeing how handsome Ash was, the somewhat handsome, somewhat angry Lu Buguet gritted his teeth. Shinshin looked at the two men confused. Finally, it was time to reveal the male guest's first choice. As expected, both men chose Shinshin. There were also the other 13 male guests on set. Shinshin wasn't surprised at all and even praised them for having good taste. Then it was time for Shinshin's card flip segment, where she could choose anyone she wanted. Ash and Lu Buguet both assumed she would pick them. The scumbag even pretended to look indifferent. But Shinshin felt one wasn't enough. She wanted everyone except President Lu. Lu Buguet finally lost his cool and shouted angrily, "Shinshin." The host gleefully reminded her she could only choose one, which made Shinshin feel guilty about rejecting so many handsome men. After an internal struggle, Shinshin finally made her decision. "I'll pick him then." The first performance CP was officially confirmed. The host announced that the remaining male guests would regroup. Since President Lu refused to choose any female guest and Lei Mei kept rejecting every male guest, the host announced that the two of them would form a CP together. The scumbag gritted his teeth as he watched Shinshin chatting happily with Ash. When the host interviewed Shinshin, she revealed that her performance next week would be singing. The audience immediately hyped her up, asking her to sing on the spot. Shinshin was embarrassed at first. Then she confidently took the mic and started singing, only to reveal she was completely tone deaf. The audience almost needed ambulances. Lu Buguet secretly felt relieved. Thank goodness she never sang once during their 3 years together. The more Xinshin sang, the more excited she got, completely ignoring the audience's reaction. Only Ash, whose hearing wasn't the best, was quietly cheering for her. To keep the show running smoothly, the host quickly stepped in. "Miss Ya, 2 lines are enough." Back at the estate, Xinshin and Ash practiced piano together to prepare for the next episode. During the live stream, Xinshin showed her fans a half-finished composition and proudly bragged to Ash about her creative inspiration. Ash carefully examined every note, a gentle smile slowly appearing on his lips. He softly said, "I can't wait to hear the full piece." Their sweet interaction made the fans go wild. Meanwhile, Lei Mei was asking about next week's performance. Lu Bugue watched Xinshin's livestream with an annoyed expression, refusing to even acknowledge Lei Mei. Consumed by jealousy, Lu Bugue snapped, "The performance. Figure it out yourself." He took all his anger out on Lei Mei. His terrible attitude once again triggered public backlash, leaving Lei Mei alone in an unbearably awkward situation. Soon the time for the Honey Love stage performance arrived. Xinshin and Ash appeared as the first duo, sitting gracefully at the piano. The music flowed like a clear spring, soft, layered, and enchanting. The audience was moved to tears. When the performance ended, the entire venue erupted, shouting how beautiful it was. Even Lu Bugue's new flame, Chu Yue, praised them, saying, "They definitely deserve first place." The scumbag Lu Bugue and his assistant watched the performance with sorrowful faces, while the makeup artist claimed she could read Xinshin's story from the music. She sighed dramatically, saying it was about a young girl who fell in love, chased happiness fearlessly, and was eventually hurt and tortured by love. The assistant, who knew the real situation, immediately shouted that she was talking nonsense. The woman instantly shut her mouth. But Lu Bugue, looking serious, told her to continue. She continued softly, "She still loves her ex-husband, that's why she feels despair, pain, and helplessness." Lu Bugue froze. "You're saying, she still loves him?" The woman added, "But 3 years later, that scumbag forced her to divorce and she let go of everything." The assistant was stunned. "Where on earth did you hear that from the music?" Lu Bugue, emotional and tense, demanded, "You mean, she's already let go of me?" On the Honey Love stage, his CP performance with Lei Mei was painfully stiff, but he looked annoyed the whole time, and the two had zero chemistry. The audience thought they were acting in a comedy skit and felt sorry for Lei Mei for being paired with him. When the performance finally ended, Lu Bugue walked off without looking back, while Lei Mei let out a breath of relief. Chu Yue awkwardly went on stage to smooth things over for him, but Lei Mei only felt more miserable. Her rival was willing to love a man with no dignity, even letting her fiancé form a CP with another woman. After returning to the waiting room, Lu Bugue's assistant handed him his phone. The scumbag opened it and saw how close Xinshin and Axiu were, instantly annoyed. Suddenly, a friend messaged him, "President Lu, tons of people online are shipping the Xinshin Axiu CP. Forget your jealousy. Who do you want to be your son's stepdad?" Furious, Lu Bugue replied immediately, "I'm going to remarry her. She's just mad at me. We'll be getting our certificate again soon." The friend didn't miss a chance to mock him. "Then hurry up. Otherwise your son might start calling another man dad." Completely enraged, Lu Bugue smashed yet another phone. It just happened to land by Chu Yue's feet. Chu Yue, concerned, asked why he was so angry while secretly glancing at the screen. Her eyes suddenly widened. Lu Bugue rushed over and snatched the phone back, expression cold. "Nothing to look at." The assistant whispered a reminder, afraid she had seen the earlier messages. But it was too late. Chu Yue had already discovered his secret. Lu Bugue acted like it didn't matter and tried to take her to the restaurant she'd always wanted to visit, only to be rejected on the spot.